Order. I call the Minister.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. I want today to speak on behalf of the people of Kemps Creek and Western Sydney more generally about the Liberal Party's plans to dump radioactive waste in Western Sydney. Radioactive waste from Hunters Hill on Sydney's North Shore. By way of background, Mr Deputy Speaker, in the early part of this century there was an operation at Hunters Hill which meant that there was radioactive waste left there. This has been a controversial issue for some time. Before the state election, the Liberal Party made a clear and unequivocal commitment not to dump this waste in Western Sydney. Now the New South Wales Liberal Government is planning to dump it at two places, Lidcombe in Western Sydney and Kemps Creek, also in Western Sydney. Lidcombe in the electorate of the Honourable Member for Reid and Kemps Creek in my electorate. This is a clear breach of a commitment. Now their way through this is for Mr O'Farrell to claim that this is not radioactive waste, it's just soil. Just soil, he said on the weekend. Well, this raises a couple of issues. Firstly, if it's just soil, we'll just leave it there. There's no need to bring it to Western Sydney. Secondly, if it's just soil and they want to remove it from Kemps Creek, then there should be a dump or a tip somewhere closer to where it's being taken from, where it could be left, not transported all the way through Western Sydney and dumped at Kemps Creek and also at Lidcombe. If it's just soil, it could be dumped at any one of the number of tips that exist on Sydney's North Shore, but it is not just soil. And if it's just soil, why does it need to be monitored at Kemps Creek for 300 years?
How long?
300 years. It's some soil, Mr Deputy Speaker. The Premier is clearly in breach of his election commitment not to dump this waste at Kemps Creek and clearly treating Western Sydney like North Shore's dumping ground. Treating Western Sydney like North Shore's dumping ground. I saw the Shadow Treasurer, the member for North Sydney, say at Lidcombe that Western Sydney was the Liberals' new heartland. Lidcombe, one of the places where they're going to dump radioactive waste from very close to his electorate. It's not a heartland, it's a dumping ground. Now, there is an opportunity for Mr O'Farrell to front the people of Kemps Creek and explain why he's doing this. We're holding a rally on the 18th of February at Kemps Creek Sports Club. Mr O'Farrell has been invited by myself, the member for Lindsay, David Bradbury, and the member for Fowler, Chris Hayes, all of whom's electorates are affected by this. We have invited him to front the people of Kemps Creek and the people of Western Sydney more broadly and explain his position. Also, other people who come are the state Liberal members, the member for Mulgoa, Tanya Davies, who also promised not to do this, and the member for Smithfield, Andy Rohan, both of whom have been struck dumb on this issue. I'm sure they didn't lodge a submission. 3,000 people lodged a submission. I lodged a submission. Fairfield Council and Penrith Council are lodging submissions, but not a word from either of the state Liberal members who campaigned against this strongly before the election, particularly Tanya Davies, but not said one word in standing up for their electorates against their own government to their